All right, welcome on into Jake, an emergency episode of the Broken Wolverine podcast this evening. I apologize to everybody. I'm usually upbeat. I guess our intro was a little too upbeat for tonight's episode. But dude, absolutely horrendous news from the garage this evening. Absolutely horrendous news from the garage. And before we get started, though, I do want to officially announce that the Broken Wolverine podcast, we're now officially a full throttle media podcast. Like I said, wanted to throw that in there. We'll definitely be way more excited about that next week, but this is primarily is an emergency for the fans. If you're listening to us live, Blown Engine chat line wide open for you tonight. We want to hear your thoughts on the whole Kyle Busch situation this evening. Jake, thank you so much for taking time out this evening to join me on this emergency episode. And like I said, the fans that will be joining us as well, please feel free to give your thoughts and opinion. And again, if you haven't heard the news, NASCAR two-time champion Kyle Busch ended up passing away this evening at the age of 41. This article courtesy of NASCAR.com. Kyle Busch, a generational talent who rose to become a two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion and one of the sport's greatest drivers, died Thursday in Charlotte at the age of 41. Busch's death, which was announced by the Busch family, NASCAR, and Richard Childress Racing, marked a sudden blow to the motorsports community, and I think that's the key word, sudden blow to the community. His team had indicated earlier Thursday that Kyle Busch was going to be hospitalized with a severe illness. He withdrew from Charlotte this weekend when and Richard Childress Racing announced that Austin Hill would be taking over the ride during that race. This was Kyle Busch's 22nd full-time season in NASCAR's top division. And again, he was a two-time champion, but it wasn't even so much what he has done at the Cup Series level, right? He had 63 wins. He had 2 championships. It's everything else he's done within the sport. And I apologize, like I said, to all the fans watching us on live. I'm heartbroken. I'm absolutely heartbroken. Jake, I'm going to pass the mic off to you.
Yeah, man. I saw the news and just like anybody else, my just jaw hit the floor. I'm speechless. I don't really have any words. This is some of the saddest news I've seen in a while, and I kind of sat back and reflected. My wife's a massive Kyle Busch fan, as you know. I just sat back and I thought about it and got to talk to you a little bit after the news came out. Talked to my dad. I just trying to bring it around as a just trying to wrap my head around this. I feel horrible. His family, Samantha, his 2 beautiful kids, Braxton. I can't even put my feet. I couldn't even be big enough to even put his shoes on right now. I am in all out of words. I sat back and I was thinking about this, and I'm like, and I'm not trying to compare anything here. We're talking about death here. This is a very
Hmm.
serious matter, but this is kind of like a Dale Earnhardt moment. I feel like the impact that Kyle Busch had on this sport, and and always will. Nobody will ever forget him. Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't wake up this morning thinking to see this, and a guy of Kyle Busch is the sport will never be the same.
It's funny. Before I get to my thoughts, Drew checked in on the Blended chat line. He said Rip Rowdy. Drew, a great friend of us on the show. It's funny. Funny story. Drew, him and I went to Pocono together back in 2018. Massive Kyle Busch fan, and obviously as a Chase Elliott fan, I didn't want to see Kyle win that race at Pocono, and I feel like I've gotten very accustomed to seeing Kyle win at Pocono, and I was just, again, that his death obviously brings back the memories of Kyle Busch. And I was happy to at least see one of my friends, Drew, end up seeing a Kyle Busch win live, which was awesome, right?
Yeah.
Um, we got Justin who ended up checking on the Blood Engine chat line. Let's get to him before I get to some more thoughts. He said Braxton just turned 11 years old 3 days ago. So for the next few years, this time of the year will be incredibly hard for him. Braxton alone, right?
Yeah.
Let's call it as is. I mean, what Kyle was accomplishing in the later parts of his career was always going to be to help set Braxton up into his, future in NASCAR. And when you have such a mentor like your dad, and with what Kyle Busch accomplished in his whole entire career, eh, this is a massive blow. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think, like you said, Jake, Dale Earnhardt to me was probably, again, there's no comparison because we're talking about death here. But in regards to the fan base, like I knew where I was the day I found out Dale Senior died, and I definitely know for a fact where I'm going to be the day Kyle Busch died.
Mm-hmm.
And I know exactly who I talked to on the phone. Again, I was talking to Tyler from, basically the lead of Full Throttle Media. Him and I have had great conversations going back and forth today about it, and he was going to join us, and unfortunately, he's a big Kyle Busch fan, and I said, "Listen, I take your time, take your time." I don't think people realize how impactful this death is going to be within the NASCAR community. I just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you lose a superstar like him and anyone in the garage, it doesn't matter if it's a superstar or not. Like if you lose a driver, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
This to me, this death was uh, obviously unexpected. Clearly is the word, but it's like, man, it's just like, why? How did this happen? So earlier in the day, all we heard, hey, he was in the hospital for a severe illness and all that type of stuff. Okay, you know what? He's going to withdraw from Charlotte. We'll see him, next week at
Mm-hmm.
Nashville. I think the scariest thing for me, Jake, is that I was at Dover for the All Star race, and I literally watched a man drive a car
Yeah.
on Sunday. This past Sunday, I saw the man in a live race driving a car, and we're talking what now? 4 days since that event, he's gone.
Yeah. I mean, he won a race 6 days ago.
6 days ago. I, I mean, what's scary about this whole situation, in my opinion, too, is that I'm wondering for the fans that were watching Watkins Glen, he did have an illness going on during that race. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe they asked for ambulance and medical assistance after the race for him. So I'm wondering if it started back then,
Mm-hmm.
but I never ever thought my entire life that we would be losing Kyle Busch this evening.
Yeah.
I will say this: we lost a superhero. We lost a superhero on the circuit this evening. I lost Superman. And I don't even care what he accomplished over the last couple of years. I don't give a shit. The dude was nearly an untouchable championship level driver for nearly a decade. I mean, how many opportunities do we watch each and every single week as fans? And what a blessing it was to watch this man drive a car.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, in my perspective, I mean, I always will cherish the legends before my time
Mm-hmm.
as some of the greatest of all time. But on my personal Mount Rushmore, Kyle Busch will be there and will always be there
I totally agree with that.
for our era of racing. I mean, Matt, I sit back and I look. I mean, you and me got to watch him win Dover together.
We did. We did. 2017, we watched him win Dover
I'll
past Chase
never forget
Elliott.
that. I mean, I never will forget that day period. But now it's like embedded in my head.
Uh-huh. And like I told you, like, I mean, the scary thing is I literally watched him drive on Sunday.
Yeah.
I literally watched, and like, granted, yeah, I mean, okay, he wrecked in the race, but it's like, okay, it's just a bad day. I get
Mm-hmm.
next week. I will get next week with Kyle Busch. I'll get next week. I'll get the following week. We will probably talk about Kyle Busch for the next couple of years,
Yeah.
and we lost him. He's gone. He's absolutely gone.
Yeah. Which is
Let's get to some of the chats. They're blowing up on the Blown In chat line. Again, if you're listening to us on our emergency podcast tonight, thank you for tuning in to us. We weren't supposed to go live at all this week, but again, we wanted to obviously touch base with all of our fans here at the Broken Wheel Bearing podcast. We wanted to have you have an open forum for your comments and all that type of stuff as well. And let's all grieve together tonight because this is probably one of the most devastating things that we can ever witness as race fans. We got Justin Trial of Life. He checks in on another comment. Dale Earnhardt, Kurt Busch, and Kyle Busch are the last three active drivers to have their careers ended prematurely. Yeah. I mean, Dale died. Kurt ended up having a concussion, and Kyle passed away. Let's get to Mark from Mark ends up chiming in. He said, "Rip KFB." Absolutely. That's definitely the massive message I think this evening for everybody. Rip Kyle Busch. Ronald, one of our fans, big Kyle Busch fan. He checks in. He goes, "I had to go to the back at my job. I put my head down and I cried." Ronald, I'm. You guys probably can't really see me well right now, but I mean, I was tearing up massively over the last probably 2 hours. Ryan, he checks in. He goes, "Rip Rowdy." We got Ronald who checked back in again. He said, well, been a fan of his for 12 years. Yep. Yeah. We're going to be getting a lot of Kyle Busch fans. And like I said, if you're listening to us live, feel free. If you're a Kyle Busch, any fan of the sport, please feel free to chime in. Philip, he checked in on our Blown End chat line too. He goes, "I have the video of his burnout from that Dover race." Yeah. I mean, 2 laps ago, he passes Chase Elliott, and it's funny too. I always remember that because I thought I was going to witness Chase Elliott's first win. Damn it, Ryan Newman. But you know what though? I got to see a couple Kyle Busch wins. So at that point, and with this news today, it makes me cherish those wins even more because I will never see that man ever win a race ever again. We got Ronald. He checked in. He goes, "Only person going above Kyle for me is Tony Stewart. That's it. Nobody else." He also chimed back in. He said, "If they don't do a proper tribute this week, I'm going to be mad. And I better see 8 fingers up on lap 8 and 18. That's actually a good point. I'm going to loop back after we get through some of these chats. Tyler, he checked in. Sorry, again, he was going to join us tonight, but I told him no worries. He goes, "Will never be another Rowdy." I completely agree with that. I totally agree with that. There's never going to be another Kyle Busch.
No.
It's the attitude. It was the marketing. It was the villain era / the heroic era. I mean, one of the things I'll always remember about Kyle Busch, remember when he went to Richard Childress and he won that race at California? And you just heard the crowd completely cheer. And you just felt like it was a dawn of a new era, right? You went from this villainous guy driving a Toyota, couldn't stand him, couldn't stand the attitude. He was the villain of NASCAR. And then he goes to Richard Childress Racing, puts that car in victory lane week number 2 of 2023. And everyone in that stance, and they even listening to it, it was incredible. Philip finally checked back. Philip checked back in again. He goes, the Candyman, when he broke his leg and came back and raced his way into the playoffs that year by winning a race and being in the top 30 with limited races, legend. Listen, think about that, right? The playoffs. 2015 Daytona. That was a pretty brutal wreck in the Xfinity race. Ends up coming back, and I believe his first win, if I'm not mistaken, was at Sonoma that year. And then ended up coming in and winning the championship that year. Again, there's nobody in our sport that could have done what Kyle Busch did that year.
No.
Again, when I talked about it, we lost Superman. We lost Superman in this sport. Becky, thank you for chiming in. She checks in. She goes, over the past couple of years, my like for him grew. I think a lot of people felt the same way as you. And finally, Ronald, he checks in back again. He goes, it sucks to know if I ever get to go to a race, I'll never get to meet him. Yeah, as a Kyle Busch fan, I'm sorry. That one actually hurts me. Like, there's so many Kyle Busch fans that like that's it. Like he's gone.
I would love to interview him, man.
Me too.
Like it's such a like I always look at Kyle Busch and I sit back and I just used to love watching the videos of the people gathering all of Kyle Busch's freakouts. Nobody else does like that. Nobody else is gonna ever be able to do it like that. At the end of the day, you sit back and you're like, man, he's talking like a dick. No, that's Kyle Busch and that's rowdy. That's the Kyle Busch we love. Like let's get Kyle Busch fired up, you know.
To kind of get out of the somber moment, Jake, real quick. What I loved about Kyle Busch, I will always love him for this. When they said when he flipped the NASCAR official off on pit road, and he told him to come back down, and he's like, "It's my constitutional right." I love it. It's stuff like that, man. It's absolutely, it's all that type of stuff.
It's just like off of Ronald's thing, like when he said, "I'll never get to meet him." You know what's going to be weird? Watching NASCAR on Sunday and not seeing Busch on the side of the TV.
Yeah. 100%, like 1,000%. And to be honest with you, I know, and think about it, like RCR now is going. I mean, they're going to be in a very interesting predicament now, right? Who's going to fill the 8 car? I mean, I hate to talk like that, but it's almost like who's going to have to fill it now? They're going to be rotating drivers, and it's like that was a staple. Kyle Busch was a staple in that car, whether he was having a bad season or not. He was still a staple in that car.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, look at the last few weeks. Him and Austin Dillon kind of found their stride a little bit. I was getting a little.
I know.
I was getting a little like happy about it. Like wins the pole at Daytona, kind of falls, and then him and Austin Dillon together start coming up. I'm like, all right, maybe there's a chance there's an RCR win in the next upcoming weeks. Mm-hmm. And then the news today, it's like,
Yeah, I mean, so a couple of things that were pretty interesting. So Tyler ended up reaching out, and he said it after the truck win, right, on Friday. He said, you don't know how many more wins are going to come, so cherish them while they last. That was his last ever win in life.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to go back to Ronald's comment as well. And with the fingers of, having 8 fingers up in the lap 8 and 18, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. Every single race, the rest of this year, and I could even see this going on until 2027, as it should.
Mm-hmm.
Having a tribute to Kyle Busch on lap 8 and 18. Like, I mean, we did it for Dale with the 3. I mean, we're going to be doing it for Kyle Busch. And if you're going to the race this weekend at Charlotte, just start it up, because, and we'll be doing it at Pocono. We're going to be doing it at Pocono because. Again, what he brought to the sport and what he accomplished in this sport should never be taken for granted.
Nope.
We got a couple more chats coming in and all that type of stuff as well. Let's get to them, Jake. Let's get to Becky. She goes, I remember the first time I met him and he was about to leave an appearance, but he stayed to sign for me. Yeah, I mean, that's Kyle Busch. That's Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch always wanted to sign for his fans and all that type of stuff. We got Ryan. He checked in. He went to Kutztown a couple years ago at the dirt track when Kyle ran out there. And he was basically saying he shouldn't have left after, but I was going to get an autograph for my dad. Big Kyle Busch fan as well. Philip chiming back in again. He goes, I loved his antics, hitting the pace car at Texas because he was unhappy. That was a great one. Also, the New Hampshire one. When they started that race in 2021, it was raining, and him and Truex both spun out, and he hit the pace car. Oh, God. All the Kyle Busch moments, man. Ronald, he checked back in again. That's everything. Everything's great interview. It doesn't sound too bad right about now. I hated it. Like I said, sorry folks, we're blowing up and all that type of stuff. We're trying to keep up with all of you. Appreciate all the love and support and joining us tonight in the Kyle Busch discussion. Phil goes, I would love it if Kurt could finish the year for his brother. That would be pretty interesting.
That'd be pretty sweet. Cool. That'd be really cool.
That would be really cool. Becky, she checks in. She goes, his wife, I definitely agreed. Mellowed out, and I met his wife.
Samantha's a really awesome woman.
Really good lady. I've
got a podcast of her own. It's pretty good.
Talk about, I mean, not just Braxton, but Samantha. And I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Tyler checked back in. He goes, I feel this was the end of RCR. They're absolutely in the hole now. Yeah, I mean, I to be honest with you, but hey, listen, if there's any organization that knows how to get it done in regards to replacement and finishing out the year, it is RCR. They did it back in 2001. But again, you're not replacing Kyle Busch.
No,
you're just not. Justin checks back in. He goes, no, his last ever win in life was waking up today with a wonderful that's 100% true. That's 100% true. That you're right there, Justin. That is 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also shared he'll be at the 600. Trial of life, Justin. He'll be at the 600. Yeah, Justin. Just put the fingers up in the air. Get everybody in that audience to get the fingers up. Yeah, I mean, again, it's absolutely horrendous. And an interesting question was asked by Tyler from Full Throttle Media. He asked me before we hopped on. And he goes, when Roberto Clemente died, when he was back in the late 60s, early 70s, with playing for the Pirates, they ended up putting him into the Baseball Hall of Fame right away. And he asked me, he's like, do you think that should do you think that NASCAR will do that for Kyle? And personally for me, no doubt in my mind. I mean, Kyle Busch to me goes in the Hall of Fame next year. Kyle Busch goes in the Hall of Fame next year. Hands down. I don't care about, well, there's other drivers on the ballot. No. We lost this era's Dale Earnhardt in my personal opinion.
It's my opinion.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Like I said, to me, obviously the older generation, they had Dale Earnhardt. We all loved Dale Earnhardt. We all grew up, you're old enough, you grew up with Dale Earnhardt. But it was like once Dale died, it was like, okay, like who's going to be that next person, right? Who's going to be that next person? And Kyle Busch lived up to that mantle, in my personal opinion. He did. Multiple-time champion, all the wins in the Craftsman Truck Series, all the wins in the Xfinity / O'Reilly Series at this point. To the younger fan base, Kyle Busch was your Dale Earnhardt. And he had the attitude of Dale, too. Like you said, Jake, all the antics, and a lot of our fans talking about it. A lot of them talking about like the antics and how much fun he was, hitting the pace car, flipping the officials off. But you know what? The best thing about Kyle Busch was he backed it up with wins.
Yeah.
He backed it up with
every single person he could out on that fucking radio. But yeah.
Yeah. Tom, he checked in on the Blend End chat line. He said, shouldn't even have to be voted in. I agree. I mean, to be honest with you, if there's any way we can get him in the Hall of Fame this year, I probably put him in.
His accolades speak for itself. We don't need a vote.
I mean, we don't need a vote. I mean, it's Kyle fucking Busch. Man, dude, I'm just completely devastated. I'm completely devastated. And like I told you, and like I told the audience tonight, I think the worst thing for me And the craziest thing is, I watched the man race on Sunday.
Yeah.
I watched him live. He was in the same facility I was, and he's gone. He's completely gone. You're not going to replace him. You're just not. And again, like I said, I knew where I was when Dale Senior ended up passing. I knew, I knew the day like the back of my hand. Same thing with Kyle Busch. Couple more comments coming in on the Born Engine chat line. We got Ronald check back in again. He goes, I hope they do WWE did for Bray Wyatt when he died. Not too familiar with WWE, Ronald, so I'm not too sure what the WWE did. Becky, she ended up checking back in. I did meet him a couple years ago at RCR Fan Day. Yeah, I mean, again, he's just one of those guys that, like, again, he was. I think what I loved about Kyle too is he was a fan of the sport. He was a fan. He wanted, and like when he got to that level, and a lot of these guys do the same thing when they get to that level. It's just, not missing autograph sessions for the fans. Not, but I'll tell you this. I mean, there are so many drivers posted some stuff on Twitter and X. I think the Danny Hamlin's tweet broke me because Hamlin had him on Action Detrimental last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that one completely broke me because the two of them were friends. I mean, they raced at JGR for all those years, and it's just like that one completely broke me. Dale Jr. had a great tweet as well, basically describing how their relationship was in the beginning of their racing career. In the beginning of like the early mid 2000s. They didn't see eye to eye, but then they became close and all that type of stuff. But who we got? Let's talk. We got Philip. Let's get to his comment real quick. He goes, my buddy Christopher Jones collected M&M's memorabilia because of Rowdy. Had his own museum in Fort Hood, Texas. Yeah, God. There was nothing better than the Candyman.
Yep.
Nothing better than the Candyman. Tom, he checks in. He goes, my favorite memory of him in person was one of the first truck races at Pocono. Walked up to the KBM box, hoping to see him, and they said, well, that's his shoes. He was laying under the truck working. That's pretty cool. That's a cool story. Cool. Justin, he checked in. He goes, last week we all knew Kyle was a Hall of Famer. Nothing has changed now. I think they should wait until 2028 just so his family has a year to grieve, to heal as much as possible and better compose them. That's a fair statement.
Yeah.
That's a really good. I completely agree with that. I think if you give him an opportunity, that's a good idea. Let's get to Ronald too. Again, he checked in. He goes, I told my friends earlier, at least he passed with his family by his side and not in a tragic crash, if that makes sense. It does. 100%. It really does. I mean, think about. I mean, and like I said, I think the weird thing for me, I think the thing that sucks the most for me, Jake, is that they said he died of a severe illness.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked since we got on air, and things may have changed. If you're listening to us and something changed, let us know in the chat line. But I mean, like severe illness? That's a very broad term. What did he die from?
I don't know if we'll hear. I personally don't think you're going to hear anything until Samantha makes a post. Honestly, I think that, and I would hope like doctors and people who work in that hospital not leak shit like that. That's not your business. But I think you're not going to hear it until at least Samantha posts something. I would say. I mean, unless the autopsy, whatever the heck you call it, is public knowledge, maybe somebody out there will find it. But I think you pay respects to Samantha and Brexton, and I forget his daughter's name. And
Lennox.
Yeah, Lennox, and let them do it. I think is the best thing to do. I don't know if they'd come out specifically say it, but let Samantha and grieve with her kids and make a post. And how I look at it, like, yeah, do I want to know? Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's just like, at the end of the day, whatever it was, it ain't bringing them back.
No, I agree with that. Like whatever he ended up passing away from, just no matter what, he's not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So again, for all the fans tuning in, Kyle. Unfortunately, we lost Kyle Busch. We lost Kyle Busch. There's nothing will bring him back. Tough day.
Really
It's a tough one.
day. It's going to be a tough day on
I mean,
Sunday
you went.
too.
It's going to be the tough rest of the year, in my personal opinion.
Yeah,
it really is.
Sunday's going to be really
you
emotional.
Sunday's going to be very emotional, and honestly, I'm interested to see how this is even going to play out at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even talking about RCR. I'm talking about like how because think about it. I mean, a lot of the fan fests were going on today in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, a lot of these broadcast teams are going to have to flip the page, and this is going to be a massive discussion for the next couple of weeks. So, like I said, we wanted to do an emergency podcast with all of you. Not Jake. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. Not the emergency podcast I ever wanted to do in my entire life.
Nope, me neither.
But here we are. So. Again, we appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. Like I said, we wanted to hop on with all of you for about 30 minutes here on the Broken Wheel Bearing podcast, talk to you about the passing of Kyle Busch, get some of our Kyle Busch fans to have a safe space to kind of grieve and, somber and, bring up memories and all that type of stuff. Like I said, I appreciate everyone tuning in to the, tonight. And like I said, sorry, we're kind of out of sync, but I think everyone understands how we all are emotionally where we're at with this. So we will be back live next week after Charlotte. We'll probably be discussing a lot more about this topic, about Kyle Busch, also the race of Charlotte. So we'll be tuning in with all of you next week. Again, thank you so much for everyone tuning to us live tonight on this emergency episode. And again, unfortunately, for all my Kyle Busch fans, I want to just give every single one of you a hug. I want to give everyone in NASCAR a hug today. And, if you're listening to us, I mean, the final message tonight from me, if you see someone who loves NASCAR, just give them a hug, because this is a very, very, very tough and extremely emotional day for all of us. Yep. So with all that being said, folks, enjoy your wonderful Memorial Day weekend. We will chat with you next week here on the Broken Wheel Bearing podcast as part of Full Throttle Media. Try to have a wonderful night as much as you can. Sorry, I'm so used to saying some words, but unfortunately, it's not the atmosphere to be in. So, have a wonderful night as best you can, and we will chat with you next week. And enjoy your Memorial Day. Good night.